So I'm thinking about the color on the bird. This is a female, so the color is duller. So there's a raw umber, and I'm going to start with that. And this is speeded up about, I think about 8 times. So it flows on, it goes, when I add the paint, it moves. And this is a little cad scarlet that is reflected color from the trumpet vine. And that's a neutral I mixed with cobalt and maybe with the cad scarlet, or else it's a primary triad. So I want to make sure the wings are very loose because they're moving very fast. And now I'm going to start on the trumpet vine. So I used all my cadmiums for this because the cadmiums are so brilliant. And so I splashed cad yellow all around, and I didn't worry about staying in the lines. Just splashed it all over the place. And so there I tried a little cad scarlet or something, decided I didn't like it and just wet it. So the paper was wet right there. So when I put the stronger cad scarlet down here, or cad red, one or the other, it bled. And ordinarily we would say, oh no, it bled, but it's fine because it just looked like the flower moved. And I may have added a little blue or something or green to those colors for a little darker color there. And that's a little green. I probably use sap green. And I try to save the highlights on the buds of the trumpet vine and on the blossoms because they're very shiny. So I wanted to make sure I captured that light. So notice the brushwork there. In using cadmiums, you want to be real fluid and strong. So this is how it looked. And I used sap green up there in the corner. I used some alizarin for the shadow colors on the flowers. So when you're using these cadmiums, you don't want to overwork them. You want to get that color in really strong. You can always lift a little bit, but if you want it to be brilliant, you have to kind of leave it alone. In other words, you don't want to layer your cadmiums like some people would put down a wimpy kind of orange and because they want to layer it and they want to build it up, but that you're not going to have a brilliant color. So now I'm going in with a jadeite green and dropping some mineral violet into that just to vary that dark. And so this is really going to make the blossoms pop. So notice I'm not painting leaves. I'm just painting dark. if you just paint this leaf by leaf, it's going to look very stiff, and you're going to get really bored. So here I put down green. Now I'm putting down some mineral violet and letting it bleed out. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing here, so that's why I did a little spatter. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But this is a little compositional technique. This was not in the photograph. I created this this is like drawing an arrow pointing from the flowers to the bird. So I wouldn't want to bring it up to touch the bird, but it's created a circular composition in the painting. And it was also a way to transition from dark on the right side to the white of the left side. So you see, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing there, but it all worked out in the end. So here I dropped some cad red in there, and I thought, oh no, what did I do? But that's a sort of accident that works out just fine if you don't try to fix it. It's just kind of a suggestion of another flower in the background that's kind of out of focus. So now I'm going to do some negative painting around the leaves up at the top. So those were the only leaves that I drew. And I wanted to keep the light that was on it. And but when I did that corner, I just used the color of the light leaves for the whole background because I knew I would go in and do negative painting. So remember, I'm not painting leaves, I'm painting not the leaves. And there I brought some of the darks into the leaves where they were in shadow. And so this paper blooms a lot, and that works out fine for this organic mishmash. So it's sometimes arches, the better paper can be, because it's rough, it's a little resistant to the brush. And the Canson and this paper are very receptive. So this is one of those times when I liked being slightly out of control with the drips and such. So how do I resolve this dark and bring it over to the light in a convincing way? So I try to make these kind of organic leafy shapes and become fainter or paler and paler with my green to suggest that the leaves are in the background. So I keep dropping in some mineral violet into that jadeite green. So see, I created an interesting edge to that dark. So now I'm going in with more of a chartreuse. So those leaves appear to be in the distance and in the light. So now I'm going to do the bird. So I've made the decision not to paint a darker color behind the bird because I want him to seem lighter than air. And I don't want to lose that ephemeral wing movement. So here's a slightly lavender neutral. I'm more of that reflected scarlet. And then a kind of a greenish neutral for the pattern. Now, if this were the male, he would have a ruby throat. So this is the drab female. So just about done gilding the lily here. And here I just lifted a little of the cad red to suggest light coming through into the funnel. I promise it's almost finished.